I'm Debbie.
And I'm Alison.
And we're the Poltergals. Spooky. Alison, do you have seasonal depression?
No, I have regular depression.
Oh, depresso espresso.
Yeah.
Well, that's not great. But we're here in the studio again.
Yeah,
We're back in the normal studio. Do you feel better? Not at
No.
Undercroft?
I like Undercroft. It's
Aw.
about as depressing as I am.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're so depressed, Allison. Well, we're back in the studio. If you guys can't see us, if you're not watching us on YouTube, you're missing out. Don't forget to go find us at youtube.com/poltergals, or we're on Rogue Media Network's channel, or you can find us at roguemedianetwork.com.
Yes,
We're back here.
Patreon.
Yes, and we have our
Instagram.
Patreon, patreon.com/polterpals.
Yeah.
Join us and become a Polter Pal on our Patreon. The PPP on the PPP.
Also,
Mhm.
I posted some bonus content on there. So
Ooh, we love us some bonus
Yeah.
content. Also, there's like just a bunch of old videos of me singing random songs, which is pretty great. Primo content. You don't want to miss out on.
no, definitely not.
But yeah, so we're back in our normal studio. We got our little campfire going.
Yeah, because it's chilly
It's a little chilly in here.
and not the kind you eat.
Actually, should we do a chili and chill episode, or eat some chili and chill and talk about ghosts?
Oh,
That'd be great.
that'd be fantastic.
We also have some exciting news for some Christmas stuff. Tell us, Allison.
Well, starting this coming Sunday, which
Whoop,
is
whoop.
December 4th, until December 24th, Christmas Eve, we will be reading from the book Christmas Ghost Story by
Ooh.
Nick DiMartino, is I believe how
Ooh.
you pronounce it.
Fancy. Thank you,
But,
Nick.
Yeah, and
Old Saint Nick? Oh my gosh.
How convenient.
How did we not even
I
realize?
know.
Thank you, Old Saint Nick,
Yes.
for letting us read from your book.
So we are reading his Christmas ghost story, and it's about basically the Rossi family
Ooh.
and their house that has been in the family line
Ooh.
for years, for at least 4 generations.
I'm excited.
So we're gonna be reading that. Be sure you tune in every Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday.
Woo!
Each one of those days between December 4th and December 24th will be a new chapter read.
Yay! And then, of
Yes.
course, we'll have our normal Tuesday Terrifying Tales episode, as well as our normal Friday episodes, dropping every single week. We are
Yes.
doing this for you guys to have non-stop Poltergals all the time.
Yeah.
So
and-
put it in.
Let me just tell you. It's that book so far has been interesting.
Ooh.
It's spooky visitors and lots of secrets that that are just slowly starting to unravel. So
let's get into it.
yeah.
So don't forget to tune in. And then on this week's episode, we're back at another spooky castle, Allison.
Yes.
We're back with the Franklin Castle
Yeah.
in Cleveland, Ohio.
Yep.
Because, that's what happens in Ohio. Gets spooky in there. Isn't that what the kids are saying nowadays? It's like, only in Ohio.
That's a thing?
Yeah,
What?
I think so.
What?
It's fine. It's a
Where
meme.
was I?
Allison, you gotta get on the net. Get on the
Clearly
web.
I'm not on the web often enough.
But yeah.
Maybe I just don't have the right friends.
There you go. It's
That's
just me.
what it is.
I'm her only friend. No, I'm joking. This is why she is depressed. It's because I treat her so poorly. Allison, I love you.
This is so sad.
Allison, I love you.
Maybe I just need to
Why do
move.
you never say that you love me back?
I don't even tell my own mother I love her.
Wow.
I
Sorry,
think-
Sandra.
I think in the whole 25 years of my existence, I have told her I love you willingly once.
Wow.
And I was
When
15.
she was 5.
I was 15.
Oh, great. Well, before we get into more of Allison's family's issues, let's find out more about this house and castle with more issues
Oh, don't
than
worry.
Allison.
Don't worry. This family has all the issues.
All right, so let's get into the Franklin Castle.
So, Franklin Castle, also known as Tiedemann House is a Victorian stone house built in American Queen Anne style, which is located on 4308 Franklin Boulevard in Cleveland's Ohio City neighborhood.
Nice.
The building has 4 stories and more than 20 rooms and 80 windows.
Oh no, more windows. We're getting Winchester House vibes in here.
I know, but
are there staircases leading to nowhere?
I guess we're going to find out.
Oh, let's find out.
In the late 19th century, was roughly when it was built, Franklin Boulevard was one of the most prestigious residential avenues in Cleveland. It was even reported to be one of the most haunted houses in Ohio.
So we're starting out strong.
Yeah. So, and don't worry.
It gets worse from here.
Yeah. Yeah, it gets worse. On March 15th of 1982, it was added as the National Register of Historic Places.
Fancy.
It was built between 1881 and 1883.
And we know in the 1800s, that's when all the spooky things happened.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we're going to find out why even more with this house.
Oh, no.
It was by the famed architectural firm of Cuttle and Richardson for Haynes? Tiedemann, a prosperous German immigrant.
Well, how can anything be spooky if it has the word cuddle in it? But it's like Kudel.
But it's
cuddling.
It's cuddling.
It's cuddling. I just want to cuddle a ghost.
Yeah, that's all it is. It's cuddling the ghosties and,
Cuddle them.
Yeah. I was trying to think of something smart to say, but I realized I was just far too long of a pause to even think of anything.
Great. Fine.
Okay, anyway, so we're laughing because, well, if you want to find out why, you gotta go to patreon.com/polterpals. And if you're seeing the 5-second version on Instagram again, you gotta go to
patreon.com/polterpals. Anyway,
Debbie almost died.
I almost died. Alison is stupid. But we're back.
So
let's get back into this very, very serious, very, very important history.
So on January 15th of 1881, Tiedemann's 15-year-old daughter, Emma, succumbed to diabetes.
No!
That's what it is! Succumbed to diabetes.
Which means she died.
That's what it is.
I'm sorry we're crying right now. I'm actually sobbing. Well, that's sad. So his 15-year-old daughter died due to diabetes, which is so sad, and I'm so sorry. We hate when children die. It's very sad.
I promise it's not
We're not being insensitive.
No.
Please don't cancel us.
So the property saw its second death not long afterwards when Tiedemann's elderly mother, Rebecca?
It's like Rebecca, but Rebecca.
I almost said
you
Wakanda.
Don't Rebecca. Rebecca.
I almost said Wakanda.
Right, that would work too.
Died. During the next 3 years, the Tiedemans would bury 3 more children, giving rise to speculation that there is more to the deaths than that met the eye.
Right, now we're getting an Amber Alert. Allison, you caused this. Missing endangered child in Paradise, Texas. Victim is 7-year-old white female, Athena Strand, who was seen wearing a gray, black, long-sleeve blue jeans and flower in her front pocket. All right.
So, oh my. To distract his wife, Louise, from these tragedies, Tiedemann began extensive construction on the home, adding a ballroom which runs the length of the house on the 4th floor of the manor. Also during this building, turrets?
Turrets were fancy back in the day.
Turrets?
Everybody wanted turrets on their house, on their castles.
Yikes. And gargoyles were added to the
edifices
facade.
Fancy. Very fancy house.
Giving the house an even more pronounced castle appearance. It is rumored that hidden rooms and passageways were used for bootlegging during Prohibition.
Ooh, we've talked about that before.
Yeah. It's almost like there's a specific place we film in that was possibly used for exactly that.
A speakeasy.
Man, who would have thought?
Undercroft?
Though rumored none of these rooms or passageways exist, other than a small stairway used by servants from the kitchen to the front door. Louise died from liver disease on March 24th, 1895, at the age of 57. The next year, Hand sold the house to the Malhazer family, and by 1908, he and the entire Tideman family were dead, leaving no one to inherit his considerably personal wealth.
Wow. That's so sad. So, from literally everybody in the entire family died. So, that's not good. And now Allison's crying again.
Oh, what great laughs we had on this episode.
No, we're not going back. Inappropriate.
Rumors of crimes committed in the house by Tideman, including sexual indiscretions and murder, have contributed to Franklin Castle's reputation as a possible haunted house. From 1921 to 1968, the house functioned as a home to various German and cultural organizations. In January of 1968, James Romano and his wife and 6 children settled in the house. The Romano family reported several encounters with the paranormal.
Ooh, that's where I'm going to get into. Spoilers.
And, of course, I've said in 1982, the location was added to the National Register of Historic Places.
Mm-hmm.
And in 1984, Michael Davinco and Judy Garland's 5th and last husband purchased Franklin Castle and almost immediately started making major renovations to the house. Over the next 10 years, Michael spent close to $1 million renovating the castle, and he even going so far to track down some of the original furnishing to the castle. Despite all of this, he put the house up for sale in 1994. I don't know if you want to go ahead and copy that and move it.
I am. Keep doing your thing.
And there have been a series of owners in the past 30 years. The castle was empty from 1994 until 1999. Michelle Heimberger bought the castle and carriage house for $350,000 using part of her Yahoo stock windfall as one of the company's early employees. A native Clevelander, Heimberg was fascinated with the home and purchased it with intentions of restoring the building to its formal glory. Unfortunately, that same year, a fire badly damaged the castle. Though extensive repairs were done, the house restoration could not be completed. In 2004, there have been rumors of the castle is going to be completely renovated and turned into the Franklin Castle Club. As of 2006, the entire club was proven to be a complete sham.
It was fake.
Yes.
Fake club. Did not actually exist.
And no repairs had ever been made, and the pictures on the website were all either close-up shots of individual architecture or pictures stolen from other websites.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a Ponzi scheme.
Yeah.
Scheme.
So, no work has been done, no memberships were ever sold, and there were even evidence that the castle has even been used to shoot certain things.
Naughty videos.
Yeah.
Naughty.
Not so good. Like, OnlyFans.
OnlyFans
stuff.
Worse than
OnlyFans stuff. If you could think of it, you got it.
I knows it when I sees it.
So, around this time, though, the exterior stone of the building was cleaned and polished. Parapet. What's that? The parapet?
You want that to be the word of the week?
Sure. Yeah.
Parapet. I think like prepared probably or like made fancy.
So parapet on the left side of the facade and was rebuilt according to the 18th century design.
Ooh, fancy.
The property was once again damaged in March of 2011 when the carriage house was damaged again by fire.
Wow. Is that why we have a little fire here? Is to pay respects to all the fire that has ravaged this building?
I mean,
like,
to be
why
fair,
so many
though,
fires?
I mean, to be fair, that light bulb over there almost...
We did have literally, this recording is cursed, number one. So anything that happened in this episode, we're sorry. Number 2, we did have a light bulb that almost exploded and was on fire. And now we have a tiny fire. So it's fine. But this one's controlled and fake. So we don't actually have to worry about that one. But yeah, so that's kind of sad. So yet again, in 2011, the house burned down again. Yeah. Well, the carriage house burned down.
The carriage house, yeah.
Yeah.
So it was announced that same year in July that the Franklin Castle had been rezoned to allow it to become a 3-family dwelling, and that a sale was pending.
Ooh.
European tapestry artist.
Tapestry.
That
means artist. Like a fancy, like woven, like cloth. Tapestry.
Tapestry artist.
Mm-hmm.
Here, Donna Dell purchased Franklin Castle in 2011 for $260,000.
Wow.
So less than that other lady bought it for.
Wow.
About $100,000 less.
Also, it's probably destroyed and has had fires and didn't actually get any work on it for like 20 years and was a scheme and also had a bunch of deaths in it. So honestly, I think $26,000. We always talk about the money on here and be like that's a lot of money. But you know what? I feel like this is fair estimate.
Yeah, this is. I mean, 2 fires and a fake.
And a Ponzi scheme.
Yeah.
And I don't even know what a Ponzi scheme is. I just keep saying Ponzi scheme. And I've said it sometimes. I don't even think I know what that means anymore. And then also deaths. And maybe murders. And also pornography. Trigger warning.
For those of you who could not think of the OnlyFans, there you go.
I don't think we're allowed to say that either. So.
Oh, well, you know. Well, neither one of us are actually doing it or sponsors, so it's fine.
It's fine. Anyway,
the Cleveland Building and Housing Department issued a permit for residential exterior alterations in February of 2012. Local news sources have reported that the buyer intends to convert the building into a 3-family house and dwelling in 2 of the spaces.
Wow.
In popular culture, on March 18th of 2016, the reality TV series Paranormal Lockdown featured the Franklin house in the 3rd episode of its 1st season.
Wow.
And on March 5th, 2020,
our favorite.
Franklin Castle was featured in the 2nd episode of the season 23 of Ghost Adventures.
Zach Baggins.
Yes, which of course aired on Travel Channel, and I'm very disappointed because I want to watch it. I want to watch all of it.
Do you have Discovery?
No.
Do you have, I have Discovery. I can give you my login.
Well, like, I have Hulu, and I've been trying to get the add-on, but it's complicated.
Gosh darn you, Hulu. Sponsor us. Sponsor us Discovery so you can watch Ghost Adventures.
Yes. And it aired also on November 19th of also 2020.
More recently.
Which was featured on the episode of Season 4, Season 2 of the Halsell Fires, which aired also on Travel Channel.
The Halsell Files, not fires.
Oh, no.
You said fires.
Oh, no. Files.
Files and
Maybe
fires.
those files will end up on fire.
Maybe
that's why I said fire.
The Halsell Files. I think we just have fire on the brain. Yeah. Get lit. Anyway, so that's all for the history.
Yes.
So you know what time it is.
Commercial break. And now, a word from our sponsors.
Spooky.
Welcome to One Star Rewind, a new podcast about those dreaded one-star reviews that every business owner hates to receive, but yet every customer loves to read. During this podcast, we will peel back that one-star review to better understand how it happened, when it happened, and what the business owner is doing after receiving that one-star review. This podcast will be about love, hate, and laughter. On One Star Rewind, we will meet with real business owners who will tell their stories and how they do rely on reviews for their business. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or download us at roguemedianetwork.com. Please subscribe, but only rate and review for not a one-star review. Join us each time for a new review and a new story.
Hi, this is Sarah.
And I'm Carter.
And this is Some of Our Thoughts.
We're two Southern sommeliers, and we want to share everything we love and know about wine. We started hanging out during quarantine and cooking and drinking and listening to music, and we just thought this would be a great way to bring everything we know to you guys.
We will make wine knowledge and food pairings easy and approachable. So put on your favorite vinyl, grab your favorite glass of wine, tune into our show, and let's have some fun.
Wine and vinyl. So check us out on roguemedianetwork.com or wherever you get your favorite podcast. We'll be talking about a lot.
Frozen heroes. Gonna tell you about frozen heroes. Gonna tell you about.
Hey, I'm Zach,
And I'm Mike.
and we have a fantastic new podcast to tell you about. Bros, Foes, and Heroes. It's the two of us looking into the world of comics, breaking down some characters that you may have never heard of, and some that are just absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, so Zach comes up with a character each time, and I go into it just completely blind. I don't know who this person is or what their abilities are or anything, and basically I guess we kind of go over their origin story and just some of the ridiculous stuff that maybe, especially Golden Age stuff.
Oh, Golden Age stuff is always the best, and we will make sure to highlight all of the shenanigans and just absolute weirdness of everything.
Yeah, that's right. So subscribe today and follow us on Instagram at Bros Foes Heroes.
And if you don't, I know where you live. Not really, but please subscribe.
Frozen heroes. Gonna tell you about frozen heroes. Gonna tell you about.
And now, back to the show.
Spooky. All right, and we're back. It's time to get into the hauntings. I hope you guys listened to some good commercials in there. Our commercial was not good. So if you're listening to the unedited version of this episode, again, we're sorry. Alison, are you ready to find out about the hauntings of this location?
Yeah.
Thank
But
you.
also, I use that commercial break straight in ours.
Oh, great. Great. We're going to get canceled immediately.
For what?
If you guys are hate watching us, please leave us a comment. Please go leave us a
For
review.
what? Endorsing taking medication?
Well, yes, but also,
But not in a bad way.
but not in a bad way. Don't abuse your medication. But anyway, so now that we're back, are you ready?
Yeah.
All right. So a lot of this information we got from allthat'sinteresting.com on the Franklin Castle. So that's allthat'sinteresting.com/Franklin-Castle. And this is basically the full tragic history of the Franklin Castle, also known as Ohio's most haunted home. Only in Ohio. Only in Ohio. So, of course, Franklin Castle began to develop its unconventional reputation back in the early 1920s. After it was sold to Mulhauser, this German socialist society guy, and the castle allegedly became the site of illegal liquor during the production during the Prohibition, and was possibly used as a nest for Nazis during World War II.
Oh, delightful.
So,
I mean, the
great.
guy was German, so
what can we say? Prohibition and Nazis. We told you this episode was not going to be great starting off. So we're starting off with two great things. I say that as sarcastically as possible. And then, of course, reports of hauntings, however, did not begin until about the 1960s-ish. Because this is, remember, like, whenever seances and stuff were getting popular again.
Yeah.
And by then, a family with 6 children moved in. The Romanos, as Allison previously mentioned, moved into the house. And they were actually hoping to originally turn it into a restaurant.
ooh,
So they're like, we're going to live here, we're going to cook here, we're going to turn it into a restaurant. The Romanos restaurant.
I hope it was Italian.
But instead, they found themselves battling ghosts. So the hauntings began right away. Like literally on the day the Romanos moved in, 2 of their children said that they encountered a crying girl in white on the 3rd floor.
Oh.
A little Sally.
Aw.
Or actually, I mean, she's not a woman yet, so she's not a woman in white. So she's just a
little
girl in
girl.
white. So
That's
Sally
more
in white.
That's
so that
more
we'll
acceptable.
accept it.
We'll accept it.
So they encountered a little Sally crying on the 3rd floor. And then when Mrs. Romano went to investigate, of course, no one was actually there.
So sad.
Soon the family then started hearing haunting organ music and heavy footfalls. 2 of the older Romano children actually woke up one night to find something yanking the blankets off of their bed.
Oh, no thank you.
No thank you at
Nope.
all. And then again, Miss Romano once awoke to find herself screaming on her bedroom floor, almost as though an unseen presence was screaming along beside her. And she had
What the
literally
heck?
fallen out of the bed.
What the heck?
So, pretty terrifying. And then they actually, after this, a priest advised the Romanos to move out. And so in 1974, they did. So Miss Romano said that the house was, in quotation marks, getting the best of her. And she actually suspected that she had been haunted by Louise Tiedemann, who they say might have been the girl who was in white crying on the 3rd floor. As you remember, one of the 3 children that they buried previously. Or the one that was crying in white was the one that passed away due to diabetes. And then Louise Tiedemann was one of the other daughters that was buried at the time. The Romano family reported several encounters with ghosts in their new home and attempted exorcisms, and even had a now defunct ghost hunting group known as the Northeast Ohio Physical Research Society come investigate the castle. And of course, like I said earlier, in 1974, they decided to leave the house. They sold it to Sam Muscatello. I don't know why I'm saying these like with an Italian accent.
I mean, they all sound Italian.
I mean, but I don't know. We're in Ohio. Things are crazy here. And he actually then planned to turn the castle into a church.
Okay.
But not really.
All great intentions here.
All great intentions. So they're like, let's leave this haunted place and let's turn it. Let's take this very haunted location and turn it into a church. That sounds great. So this guy Sam was like, okay, so to raise the money for the church, they actually started doing haunted house tours. There's my German coming out now. I went from Italian to German in like 2 seconds. But they started doing haunted house tours and overnight stays at the castle. So they're like, hey, you guys want to come stay here? It's haunted. We're going to turn it into a church, I guess.
How does that make sense? You want to turn it into a church, but then you're going to go over and have it as a haunted house and allow them to stay in the house for the hauntings.
So remember, they sold the house in 1974. But here's the kicker. So human bones were actually found in a closet in 1975. And they believe they were planted there by the new owner looking to gain publicity for the ghost tours for the property to turn into a church. So, deceit.
Again, none of this is making sense. It's just, I'm pretty bad at math, but this isn't adding up.
Not adding up at all. And of course, the hauntings did not stop then. So, as he was trying to capitalize on this house's reputation by inviting all of the local media to come, of course, they all had strange experiences. But, like, again, maybe this dude just was planted bones in a closet. You don't know. So many of them had strange experiences while exploring its grounds. Actually, a Cleveland, Ohio host, a radio host, not a podcast host, unfortunately.
So sad.
A radio host named John Webster described how something had snatched his tape recorder and then threw it down the stairs.
Someone's a little mad.
He's a little angry ghost.
Did they take their medications that day?
I don't think so. And he's quoted of saying, I just stood there, holding the microphone, as I watched the tape recorder go flying down to the bottom of the stairs, where it then broke into pieces. Thanks, John Webster, for that beautiful account. And then, of course, after that, I guess there was not a lot of success in turning it into a church. So from there, the house was then sold again, and again, and again.
So we're up to at least like 7.
We're up to the late 1980s.
And it's been sold
90s.
quite a few times.
Yeah, it's been sold quite a few times. And of course, each new occupant continued to report strange occurrences, possibly like passing through odd vapors. They even heard a child crying, which might have been Louise or Emma.
Oh.
And then they also reported strange occurrences like seeing a woman in black, not a woman in white,
God.
a woman in black standing in the window. And there's actually reports of hauntings at the Franklin Castle that began to increase. Many turned their suspicion back to, of course, Mr. Tiedemann.
Which one's scarier, a woman in white or a woman in black?
I don't know. Like, I feel like both have, like, I don't know, like origin stories that can go either way. Like, I feel like a woman in white's always described as, like, sad or crying or screaming. But I feel like a woman in black gives, like, more witchy connotations.
Yeah.
So it's, like, more like black magic, stealing your soul, demonic.
Yeah.
But I feel like maybe not. But also, like, you know, we always talk about, like, why is it always woman in white, you know?
I mean, it's a nice change, but
At what cost?
like in my head, both are equally just as scary as the next.
I think so, too. I think they're on the same playing field. It's the yin of the yang, you know? The black
Like
and the white.
Like if someone said a woman in red, I'd be like, eh.
Yeah, I feel like, and then, you know, I think it's just, like, color association. So, you know, in, like, Chinese culture, like, white is actually, like, for mourning. But only, like, here in, like, the States and most of Western Europe do we associate black with funerals.
Did you know that a living room was actually meant for the living to mourn?
Yeah.
Like I didn't.
That's where they would, like, put the
Yeah,
wakes.
like instead of like having a funeral home, they would have the wakes in their living room, and it was for the living to mourn.
Yeah. And then
You
they
know-
had a sitting room for, like, sitting and enjoying their time.
You know what would be sad though?
What?
If you
Oh,
died
no.
in the living room
Mhm.
choking on a lifesaver.
That would be terrible. I don't like that, Allison, at all. I'm going to imagine that picture in my head for weeks.
You're welcome.
Every time you know, I don't eat lifesavers regularly enough to worry about that, so I guess I'm good.
And you know the whole point of the hole in a lifesaver, right?
Mhm. So you don't choke.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so that
They
way,
put the hole in
if
it
you do
so
choke, it'll
you
be
can still
there, and you
breathe.
can still breathe at least enough for somebody to save you.
Great. Good job, Lifesavers. This episode is not sponsored by Lifesavers. No, I'm kidding.
Or living rooms.
All right, and living rooms. But yeah. So back to the story. So they turned their suspicion back to the Tiedemans, of course. And of course, all the tragedies that had happened. So while living in the house, Hans Tiedemann, he'd actually lost his mother, his children, and his wife, and his entire fortune and everything. But what if he actually had a hand in their deaths?
Oh.
Very suspicious. Very suspicious. You know, Emma and Louise's deaths look more suspicious. As we said earlier, Emma passed away due to having diabetes, which I'm not sure at the time how life-threatening it was, but also seems a little bit more suspicious. And then Louise's death, his mother, Rebecca, like, these things are coming to light a little bit more. Like, maybe this was suspicious.
A little sauce.
It's a little sus. So then stories began to spread that Tiedemann had maybe even murdered his own niece by hanging her from the rafters.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so these stories had always kind of been told, but again, there was like no evidence behind them. And again, these are undocumented claims. So these are just some things that people are looking at, like,
Again, written history in this time wasn't the greatest.
Yeah.
It existed.
It
It
was
just
there.
wasn't.
But
Right.
also, like, you know, a bunch of hearsay and rumors. And remember, this is, again, a castle in, like, a prominent area in Ohio, in Cleveland, Ohio. So, like, people,
Yeah.
of course, are going to talk. And, like, people are going to tell
And
stories.
it's in one of the nice neighborhoods too. It wasn't
Yeah.
just like in the middle of nowhere
Yeah.
or in like quote unquote, for lack of better words, in the ghetto.
Yeah.
It was a nice neighborhood.
Yeah.
And
They were prominent people. They
Yeah.
were, like, businessmen, you know? As we always talk about, like, these people had a life. And so, you know, we always talk about, like, what's the difference between, like, rumors and what's written accounts. So take that and take everything with a grain of salt when we're talking
Yeah.
about the hauntings.
yeah.
But then they also, so of course, like, they were looking at all these suspicious things. And then there was even maybe a tale going around that he maybe even killed his mistress in a fit of jealous rage. So, like, was this man actually the one behind all this? Was he the one actually murdering these people? Or did they just succumb to, you know, ailments and things that happen naturally? So you never know.
I feel like lifespan at this point has increased, and we've definitely noticed over the last few decades that human life has been slowly getting better.
Which is why you need to take your medications.
Yes. I mean, like back then, average life was like what, 50, 60?
Yeah, because his wife died at 57.
Yeah.
Which was like, I feel like pretty normal back then.
Yeah, whereas now people are living into their 80s, and that's kind of
90s, yeah.
80s is where you kind of need to start worrying, but you know they're okay.
Yeah. And again, it just depends. But, obviously Franklin's Castle's legend itself has grown to such a proportion that, it's one of the most haunted houses in all the United States. So, again, it's that whole thing on the man versus the myth versus the actual story that's here to be told. Which is why we like to, again, always tell the history first. But was Hans Tiedemann a brute who slowly and steadily murdered his entire family? Or was he just a man who went to buy a castle? Who knows?
I mean, I would love to just buy a castle. I mean, there is a castle here in town, but unfortunately it's already taken. Ugh.
Well, we have another record. So, of course, one man said no. He was, in fact, not a murderer and did not mean to murder his entire family. So this guy, William Krejci, sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your last name. It's Krejci, if you guys want to look it up. He was actually a Cleveland author and investigative historian who wrote a book on the Franklin Castle called Haunted Franklin Castle. And he just believes that the stories about the Tiedemanns' cruelty had just been embellished over time. So again, it's just the myth, not necessarily the man. It is said that he actually entirely disagreed that the Franklin Castle was haunted at all. Again, recounting the tales of the people trying to turn it into a haunted house, putting the bones in it, that it didn't get its haunted history until about the 1960s, when again that was kind of becoming the popular thing to do.
Makes sense.
And, when he visited the house, he did have a number of strange experiences, but it was only like small stuff. So he said he heard footsteps and voices, or maybe there was a radio that turned on. He said the radio turning on his phone and things like that. He said it's kind of cool, but again, he says this all with what is it
he said it very loosely.
Yeah. And you can check out his book for more. So if you're looking for more information, check out The Haunted Franklin Castle, and you can read more on it. And then, of course, today, the Franklin Castle is a private residence. Its current owners are, what does that mean?
I mean,
I guess any
guess
recent hauntings.
I guess that there's nothing really new.
Yeah, there's
on reportings. They're it's here. It's a house. It's
and
pretty normal.
Yeah, but the house does remain being popular. It's one of the most popular stops on the Cleveland ghost tours. Though it's only viewable from the outside because people are living in it. And haunting aficionados claim that the ghost of Louise Tiedemann is the one who can be seen standing in the window from the outside. In that way, Franklin Castle will continue to keep its secrets. Its soaring turrets, delicate details, and striking windows might mask horrific crimes, or not, or they may simply symbolize how one immigrant's American dream became a devastating nightmare. Yikes. But yeah, so I mean, again, this all has a lot of hauntings and history behind it. The man, the myth, the legend.
Yeah.
So is it haunted, Allison? What's your hot take?
I want to say there's a possibility, but you can't also discredit all the stuff that potentially might happen.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, that is a little
suspicious.
That's a lot of tragedy to happen in one place. And we know with tragedy comes... it has a tendency of coming with hauntings.
Yep.
And for a lot of suspicion, it's a lot of hearsay.
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen in history with a lot, specifically Salem witch trials, a lot of hearsay, a lot of hauntings coming with it, a lot of trauma.
Yeah.
So I would say...
And it's just sad,
Yeah, I would say possibly, but...
We're giving it a possibility of... Well, let's see, 6 out of 10 ghosts
Yeah.
Yeah, 6
Yeah.
out of 10 ghosts could be haunted, about 60%.
Yeah.
But, you know, again, like, things get embellished over time, but it is really sad. And, like, the stuff that happened here is still, you know, it's still what happened, you know, and you have to talk about that.
Yeah.
But are people capitalizing on it?
Maybe. I mean, I do think it's one of those, like, telephone story things.
Yeah, it's like someone told somebody that told somebody else.
It gets passed along so much.
And I mean, it's like freaking castle. So castles have to be haunted, right?
Yeah.
Like,
come on. Otherwise, it wouldn't be in
what's
the
the
show.
point of being a castle if
Yeah.
you're not haunted, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's all for this week. Thank you guys for listening to another episode of The Poltergals.
And be sure to tune in every week.
Mm-hmm.
And starting this coming Sunday, every day for the next 3 weeks from
Every day.
December 4th to December 24th
Every day.
for Christmas Ghost Stories, and then every Tuesday for Terrifying Tales, and every Friday for your regular aired showcased show.
Woo! All right. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Were you going to say something else?
Nope.
You've been listening to The Poltergals.
A Rogue Media Network podcast.
This has been a Rogue Media podcast.